stepping in
spectacular,
as well.
over the top. I mean, that was a full force shot to the temple. I mean, he's right now. So they wipe off his gloves, but you look at him like he's really feeling it right now. I mean, he probably has no idea where he is.
When I'm going to take your soul, and you're either going to give up or you're going to get knocked out. And unless you have that instinct, you just will never be a good fighter.
Likely that one big shot's gonna land if the guy's not throwing other shots. So I thought with less artillery in the air, less bombs in the air, that the guy would have a chance to get to later on.
The final consequence was locked in long before the bell, and it was ugly. This night didn't just knock Jake Paul out, it blew up the illusion around crossover boxing. Careers tilted. Egos cracked before the canvas even cooled. So rewind with me hard, because how we got here matters more than the punch. Joe Rogan was laughing ringside like he'd already seen the ending. And that laugh only makes sense if you admit the truth. Everyone knew. The second a former Olympic gold medalist heavyweight stepped in, this was never a fight. It was a countdown. And if that already irritates you, good. Because there's something nobody is saying yet, and it's coming.
Well, realistically, it's one of the craziest propositions of all time. You take a guy who just had a boxing match that looks like a sparring match with a 58-year-old Mike Tyson, and then you're going to fight one of the absolute scariest knockout artists.
I watched Rogan lean toward Joshua and smirk like the book had already closed, because he said what nobody wanted to hear out loud. Real boxing does not care about hype, followers, or storylines. When Jake hit the canvas, the shock wasn't the fall. It was the confirmation. That sickening click of reality snapping shut. Jake usually dances with aging MMA legends and retired names. Suddenly he was staring at a two-time heavyweight champion with nuclear timing. And here's the part that should bother you. Rogan said the result was never in doubt. If that's true, then who allowed this to happen? And why does it feel like someone wanted the lesson taught?
Not just physical, it's psychological. And when you understand the psychological warfare, I did say to you that, Jake, what's going to happen? I'm going to see a time when I'm going to take your soul, and you're either going to give up or you're going to get knocked out. And unless you have that instinct...
After the fight, Joshua didn't whisper or soften anything. That's where the temperature spiked. He said the early knockout saved Jake from something darker, slower, uglier. And I don't think people really heard that. He wasn't bragging. He was warning. He said if it dragged on, he would have taken Jake apart piece by piece, physically, mentally, emotionally. Sit with that line. When a champion says a clean finish was mercy, it means he knew exactly how bad it could have become. And I keep circling the same question. Who pushed this matchup knowing that history? Because right after they asked Joshua about fighting Fury. And my first thought was, after what we just saw, who even cares?
Straight after the fight, I heard the question being posed to Joshua, will he now fight Fury? And then my first thought was, after what I've seen, who cares? After that, who cares if Joshua fights Fury? I like Anthony Joshua immensely, Spencer. Any exchanges I've had with him, I think he comes across terrifically well. But I fail to see where it's taken us, where it's taken him, other than hugely increasing his bank balance. You know, I really fail to see what this has done.
Well, it's done nothing, but he was going to fight in November, like I said, and he's just gone in there against Jake Paul. What has it done for his legacy? Absolutely zero. But it was, you know, he's earned a lot of money doing that. And he's going to go again, and he's going to fight possibly February, March, and then there's that Tyson Fury fight that's looming that could happen in September, whether Tyson Fury decides to come out of retirement or not come out of retirement. For Anthony Joshua, he's earned a hell of a lot of money. This is prize fighting, and that's what it's all about. And that's what he's...
The world split instantly like a cracked jaw. Half screamed money grab, half whispered, maybe Jake's ready, and both sides missed the point. Joshua isn't a test. He's a wall. Olympic gold, world titles, years of elite violence. Jake is still stacking credibility brick by brick. So when that right hand shattered the night, Simon Jordan called it a dark day, and you could feel it. When broadcasters say the sport looks like a joke, that isn't outrage. It's fear. And here's the truth nobody wants to admit. This line doesn't get uncrossed any more than Joshua tore this apart.
Earning more than Joshua. That apart, Spencer, 6 rounds to get Paul out of there. Reputationally, how does it leave AJ?
Well, thankfully it didn't go to points, because I think that would have been a disaster for Anthony Joshua. I think that he needed to get the job done inside the distance, you know, and he done it. Look, he could have done it at any given point. I think that he could have cut the ring off whenever he wanted to and got Jake Paul out of there. He took his time on that. He allowed Jake Paul to run around like a rabbit and throw the occasional shot from time to time. And I think he only landed one clean punch, didn't he, Anthony Joshua? And that was the one that broke his jaw in 2 places.
But I mean, you said, did you not, to us in this very studio the other day, he's got to get him out of there in round 1.
I did.
Otherwise, what are we seeing?
Exactly that, you know, and I think what we saw there was a little bit of entertainment, and that was pretty much it. But not entertainment that many people enjoyed, if I'm honest. I think that people.
Then came the legacy talk, and it turned my stomach. People asked what this did for Joshua. The answer was nothing, except a bigger paycheck and a louder question mark. If this went to points, it would have been a reputational disaster and everyone knew it. So Joshua did what he had to do and ended it. But here's where the paranoia creeps in. When fights are sold as entertainment instead of danger, people forget what happens when danger actually shows up. And tonight, danger showed up early and smiling. Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul shared a ring.
This is a giant Olympic gold medalist heavyweight. I mean, Anthony Joshua is
Here's the
terrifying.
thing that nightmares are made of.
And he's got that one punch nuclear power. One punch.
Rogan doubled down afterward, and if you blinked, you missed how ominous it was. He called Joshua one of the most athletic heavyweights ever and said he moves like a middleweight trapped in a heavyweight nightmare. That sentence alone should end crossover fantasies forever. When speed and knockout power coexist, you don't get learning curves. You get endings. And Rogan flat out said putting Jake or Logan in there makes no sense. Yet people keep talking like it's inevitable. That disconnect should terrify you.
Joshua and Jake Paul shared a ring. Your takeaways from the 6 rounds that we saw, presuming you watched?
I was impressed with Jake Paul. I thought that, following on from what we're saying, right? A few years ago, he was on Disney as a kid, acting up, and has decided to become a professional fighter. That takes balls, but he's obviously striving to be as good as he can be. You can see that in the way that he moves, the way that he is developed in how he's punching and performing. But to make a 2-time world heavyweight champion that's still live, you know, AJ's still got something about him, to make him miss in such an accomplished manner. All right, so at times he was jumping out and running around, but there were times when he was well in range and still making AJ unable to land a clean, solid shot. He deserves a lot of respect for that. And then the shot that actually finished the fight, that broke his jaw quite badly, didn't put him out. That shot's that shot he threw with serious intention has put a lot of professional heavyweights to sleep. He didn't go to sleep. He actually finished on his knees, didn't he? Laughing and spitting blood out of his mouth. So, like they say, like it's a special type of crazy and a special type of brave to do it. But I actually, hats off to him, because he showed that he's developing some accomplished little skills in there to look after himself. The size difference is always going to fatigue him.
I know everyone will come with the idea that, oh, well, AJ should just go in there 1 round and smash him to bits, and that should be it was a big ring, right? Perhaps he could have cut the ring off a bit better, but would I be right in saying that regardless of skill level, if you forget about that with the 2 for a second, if someone is on the back foot on their bike and kind of doing what Jake was doing, it's difficult no matter who you are, no matter the kind of separation in skill level.
It's a big ring, and you've either got to run at him and look like a novice yourself, or just take your time.
Then Adam Booth stepped in, and that's where it got strange. He gave Jake credit. Real credit. Said Jake made Joshua miss at times and showed legitimate ring IQ. That should feel hopeful. It doesn't. Because Booth immediately snapped it back to reality and said once Joshua adjusted, it was over. That's the scariest part. Improvement didn't save him, and it won't save the next guy either. Logan Paul whispers started instantly. I laughed, then stopped laughing. Analysts shut it down hard, saying it would be comedy for all the wrong reasons. Jake trains full-time and still got caught. Logan splits focus like it's a hobby. And instead of ending the conversation, that fueled it. That's when you know this is spiraling. They compared the brothers, and somehow that hurt more than the knockout. They admitted Jake actually took boxing seriously and earned basic professional respect. That's supposed to be the silver lining. Listen to how thin that sounds against a shattered jaw and a laughing ringside legend. Even respect has a limit. When analysts say Logan would make boxing look like a circus, they aren't exaggerating. They're predicting. And predictions like that tempt fate. By the end, everyone tried to wrap this up neatly. I won't. They said 2 stories came out of this fight. Either crossover boxing is killing the sport, or Jake deserves respect for stepping up. Both can be true and still end badly. Skill, experience, and real power always win. The bill just comes due somewhere else. And nobody is asking who pays it when the cameras shut off. I keep replaying Rogan's laugh. It wasn't cruel. It was resigned. Like watching gravity do what gravity always does. That scares me more than outrage. Resignation means expectation. Expectation means this wasn't an accident. And if it wasn't an accident, then there were meetings, contracts, and nods we never saw. You think this is over because the bell rang, the jaw broke, and the checks cleared. It isn't. The language changed afterward. The tone shifted. Mercy. Nightmares. Inevitability. When a sport starts talking like that, it's bracing for impact. And I swear there's a name we haven't heard yet that's about to get dragged into this whether they want it or not. Everyone keeps asking what's next. That's the safe question. The real question is who benefits from pretending this was normal. Normal fights don't feel like warnings. Normal knockouts don't sound like confessions. Something is still unfolding behind the scenes. Someone is lying by omission. And when it breaks, it won't be clean. It'll be loud, messy, and irreversible. This didn't resolve anything. It exposed it. And exposed things don't heal quietly. They fester. As long as money whispers louder than caution, this stays volatile. And I'm not convinced the next update is about a fight at all. The real explosion may be accountability. And that's the one nobody is ready for.
Would be more of a mismatch than Jake Paul. You know what I mean? Because at least Jake Paul has taken boxing or has trained with real boxing trainers and real boxes. Whereas Logan Paul, you know, he did that exhibition with Floyd, and Floyd's a little guy. Not saying a little guy can't thump, because Floyd really gave him some two pieces with no sides, right? But at the same time, you take his friend, Floyd's friend, Anthony Joshua, and get hit by him and see what happens. The same thing. Probably worse, because I think Logan, you know, he's a little taller than Jake. And because he's a little taller than Jake, he may think he's a little stronger than Jake. Which I don't know which one's true or not. I don't think it makes a difference. But because he may feel that way, he may want to go in there and try to bang it out with AJ. And if that happens, it's going to be a lot quicker. See, that 6 rounds it took AJ to finally catch Jake. It took that way because Jake was on that bicycle, moving, being elusive, trying to come in and then come out. He tried to do a very poor man's Alexander Usyk, right? And it didn't work for him. Logan ain't gonna do that. Logan's gonna come in throwing bunches and bunches like he did with Floyd, trying to get him in there and, you know, do all this stuff. And what's gonna happen as soon as AJ lines him up, sets his punch, he's gonna hit Jake, and he's gonna break Jake down.